So, you want to be a contractor. Ever wonder what it takes to become a contractor? The journey they go on to get where they are now, or the crazy things they see and hear on the job site? Well, you're in the right spot. Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor, the podcast. Join your host, Mike Fisher, as he talks to owners of construction companies from all over about how they got started, how they run their business, and some of the craziest stories they've experienced on their job sites. And now, your host, Mike Fisher.
Welcome to So You Want to Be a Contractor. This is episode number 40. My name is Mike Fisher. With me, as always now, is my wonderful co-host over there, Marisela Arechiga. How are you doing, Marisela?
What's up, Mike? It is Tuesday and raining in Los Angeles. Like it isn't sprinkling, it is raining. So everyone's lost their minds. We do not know how to live in these conditions, but I take it. It's awesome. We need the rain. Yeah,
no, it's, I'm sure you might be able to hear it in a minute. It's coming on down pretty hard here in a second. Are
yeah,
you guys getting rain out there, Josh?
It's getting cloudy. It's starting to build up. It's coming for sure.
Yeah. Well, Josh is speaking, but I didn't introduce him yet. Our guest this afternoon is President and CEO over at ClaussConstruction Demolition. Josh Claus, how you doing, sir?
Doing good, and thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. So for those of you that have been following me /us/ this journey since a couple of years ago when I started, Josh is actually a return customer here. It was episode 11 of the original iteration. And I know a lot has changed, and he's still blowing up buildings and knocking them down. So we want to hear the stories.
When was the first time you were on as a guest? What year was it?
I want to say, was it 18?
It was like March 2020. No, it's 2020 when we started, because we literally booked our first guest, and then like a week later the pandemic was a thing. So okay. He was episode 11. So yeah, it would have been March-ish of 2020.
So it was right as the pandemic was hitting. This is going to be a really interesting conversation, both for to understand what's changed in your business and to hear how much has changed, because in construction, it's like pre 9/11 and post 9/11, right? We live in different times, and that is pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. What's gone on? How have you navigated that? But before we get into all of that, tell our listeners what you do. Where are you in the world, and what do you do in construction?
Yeah, so ClaussConstruction, you have the word construction there, but we actually specialize in demolition and environmental remediation. That's what we do. That's our forte, and earthwork as well. We're over here in the West Coast.
Has it always been that, Josh? Has it always been demo?
Yeah, for 30 years, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in the
30 years.
My uncle and my dad started the business back in 91. I was 15 years old when I started. It just kind of got raised up in the company and took over about 5.5 years ago. My uncle got real sick. He actually passed away a couple months ago. We're here today, still rocking and rolling. We made it through a couple of major recessions, and we're about to get ready to get through another one, because it's here. So,
it's here. It's here.
Yeah, it's here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Josh, tell me. So while it's common, it's still a very unique story when somebody inherits a family business in construction. What that process was like, and kind of, I ask these questions for selfish reasons, because I am self-employed. I have my own, I'm a GC, and I have 3 sons that are watching me, right? They're watching my husband and I as we create this business, and they're very young, but I have a 13-year-old that's like, nah, that's not for me. Was the demolition, was the business that your family was running, was that something that was always interested to you, or did you just swear it off? What was that like for you as a young child, and then how did you grow into it?
That's a fantastic question. A lot of times we don't get this question.
Well, first of all, who doesn't like what little boy doesn't like blowing stuff up and knocking it down, right? I mean, that's like a dream job, but
it's one of the most favorite parts of construction for me.
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? That all being said, that is very true. That's how you get started, through the excitement, but then you realize the risk and liability that comes with it as you get more and more involved, right? So the fun kind of gets teeter-tottered a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's a great question. So
real world problems.
yeah. To answer that question, yeah, it was the coolness of it, right? Like for me as a kid, I had our family's extremely hardworking, very blue collar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when my uncle started, and my dad helping him out. So my uncle ran the office, my dad ran the field. It was just the two of them, and at that time there was no money. We weren't. They were just blood, sweat, and tears, right? So what I saw was a lot of hard work, a lot of struggle. Um, but I saw the technical side of it, and yeah, you get to go out there with sledgehammers and heavy equipment and wreck stuff, right? So there was excitement through that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at a very young age, I'm talking probably 12, 13 years old is when I was first introduced to it all. You start seeing your dad struggle a little bit, your uncle struggle with the real parts of the business, and it's like you learn very
Mm-hmm.
quick at a young age to where it's like, man, this is big boy stuff, right? Um, so the whole
Mm-hmm.
family aspect, the whole family business, you know, then you start seeing two brothers work together, my uncle and my dad, and the struggle that comes with family, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was introduced to me at a very, very young age. So, I'm extremely immature. I'm trying to come to my own as a young man for myself. You know, I didn't do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of playing. I was big time in the baseball sports, but my dad was out of town
Mm-hmm.
working a lot, and when we came home, I was on a ranch working. He wanted to build a house for us in the East County in San Diego, so we had a great big place to play. But it's so funny that to play on a ranch is you're working every weekend to keep the ranch up. So all I knew was work, right? All I knew really was work,
Mm-hmm.
and there was very little times to where we got to go play, right? So I didn't know any different. To kind of
Mm-hmm.
answer your question, I didn't really, to be honest with you, I didn't know um, much different other than this is what life is. You grind it out, you work hard, and if you work hard, big things will come. So it was really cool
Yeah.
as I was young. I had to go get my uncle made me go get my worker's permit when I was 15 years old in high school in order to be on the
Yeah.
payroll. And it was really,
Yeah.
at the time I didn't know, but watching them struggle through business, but being successful at the same time, I was able to learn very quickly, the reality of business. Even though there's fun in knocking down buildings,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was having a good time doing that. And here's the dangerous part, is when you're working construction, it's pretty dang good money, right? So the idea
Mm-hmm.
of going to college and all that was,
Maybe.
yeah, it was like I'm making more money than all my friends put together because I'm out here laboring, right? And you're making prevailing
Yeah.
wage at a pretty dang young age. It's really hard to justify going to
Yeah.
college when I can just this is my college, right? I had a couple
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
cousins involved. My
Yeah.
my my uncle's sons. He had two sons. We had about 8 clause members involved in the company at a certain point. Had a couple uncles in there. Uh, my uncle's two sons in there. My cousins are like brothers to me.
Eight members of the family working in the business. Josh, that's hold on. That's 8 members of the family working in the business.
Yeah, it didn't last very long.
I
Yeah,
was
at
gonna
one time.
say, how long did that go for? That's
Yeah,
that's a
it,
that's
it,
that's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
opinions.
yeah. So my cousins had more like
So so
yeah, a supportive like go to college type of life. My uncle pushed them towards college, right? And they came in and out.
mhm.
They came in and out. And then I had my other uncle, my young uncle, came and worked for us for a long time, and then my other older uncle came and worked for us. Anyway, long story short, that's a whole other episode. Um, they were here for a short period.
That's the
They
third
were
time you're
here for a
back. That's
short
the third
period of
time you
time.
come back.
Yeah. What was that?
So then did you always see yourself being a part of the business? I'm hearing that you started very young. You had a lot of experience both on the hands-on work ethic part, but also just seeing the family run the business. So you're learning from seeing. Was ClaussConstruction your path? Did you know that was going to be the thing that you did, or was it something that you resisted?
I kind of knew in the back of my mind. It just it's really interesting that question because a lot of it is what's your calling in life, right? Sometimes you end up doing what
Yeah.
you're called to do rather than what you really want to do. And then it ends up doing what, the calling becomes what you want to do, right? At
What's your
least
calling?
what was that?
Type that right there up, Mike.
I'm literally writing it down. Yep.
No, highlight. What's your calling? Go ahead.
Yeah, what's your calling? So did I have this all figured out? Like this is what was going to happen? No, there was 8 members in front of me, right? I mean, it was, I had the passion towards it. I really took a lot of pride in our name. I took a lot of pride in pleasing clients. It came to a point, even my brother was involved. He ended up leaving. He started his own pool company in the East Coast. He's extremely successful. Very proud of him. He's killing it. But it's just one of those things. It's what's your calling, and it just kind of, as family members kind of disappearing slowly, I was still here. And it came to a point where I was out in the field for about 10, 11 years, running the machine, knocking down the buildings myself, supervising, project managing. And then I just went to my uncle in 2024. And I said, listen, I really see
2024, that would be in 2 years from now.
I'm sorry, 2004, guys. I apologize. It's the COVID. It got to my brain, It's destroying
You
all
got
of
COVID
us.
brain too?
Yeah, we all have COVID brain. 2004. I went to my
2004.
uncle, and I just, I said, listen, I was actually in a little punk rock band back in the day for my free time, and I came to Vegas, and I played a lot out here in Las Vegas. And the entrepreneur in me I was always on the strip after the shows talking to the contractors and just seeing the need for the demolition industry out here. And long story short, after a few months of taking trips out here and playing shows, and I went to my uncle. I said, look, you give me an opportunity, give me 1 year to open up an office out in Las Vegas to prove myself that, I want to take it to the next level. I want to open up an office. I don't want to be out in the field and travel 24/7 and be away from my family. At the time, I've had kids. I want to be around my kids. So I was trying to find ways to continue the business, but at the same time be with my family. Because demolition, you can't demo a whole city. You have to go where the work's at. So there's a lot of traveling, right?
That's right. I was just going to ask you to highlight that, but I want you to finish this part of it.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, he kind of chuckled at me because he really didn't want me to leave the field. He really enjoyed me doing a good job for him out in the field. But he also respected it. He kind of was like, oh, listen, the kid wants to do better. He wants to improve on himself. And, the deal was, look, if I can't produce work in Las Vegas within a year's time, then I'll go back out in the field and do what you want me to do. He shook my hand, and a year later.
Because Josh, at this point in 2004, you guys are exclusively in San Diego County. I mean, it's based out of there, but it sounds like you were traveling everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. We're based out of San Diego.
And then you come and say, I'm going to open up.
Yeah. No.
So, okay. So you're opening up a field. Your proposition was, I'm going to open up a field in Las Vegas because you were just seeing the opportunity there. But at that point, the model of the business was based in San Diego, and you're traveling across the United States to demo?
Yeah. So majority of our work's in the West Coast, but I've been to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Ohio, Cleveland. I've been to Chicago. I worked out in Los Alamos for 2 years straight in New Mexico. Yeah, I was all over the place. Yeah. So we'll get into that too. When we talk about the recession coming up, we're very diversified, and we do a lot of government sector work as well as private. So, but the private sector out here in Vegas in 2004, not 24, it was going off. It was just so it was good.
So your outfits of demoing, give us a sneak peek, like show us a lens into what kind of demolition you're doing, because for us, you have some residential contractors listening, and demo day is a whole 2 days worth of work to demo what they got to demo. Right. What does that outfit look like for ClaussConstruction? Yeah,
we really, our forte is the big technical large projects. We do it all. We do residential. If we have a returning client that needs help on something, we'll go knock down these houses for you, no big deal. But I actually sent Mike a video this morning of one of our machines. It reaches about 95 feet. It's a high reach, and we're knocking down an 9-story building with the thing. Post-tension issues with this. It was this building that we just took down here in Las Vegas at Sunrise Hospital. It was preconditioned to where the post-tension was failing because they remodeled it. These plumbers came in and actually drilled through these slabs that had post-tension in them, which is very, very dangerous, where the post-tension is the structural integrity of the building, right? And so it was compromised. And so we were hired by our client to come in and say, it was sagging before we even showed up. This whole building was kind of like sagging. So we had the proper equipment to take that down safely. And, we brought in our big guns and we came over here, we engineered it out, and it's on the ground today. So we do a lot of the.
So what I want to know is when you're doing that building, right? Because I'm watching that video and you've got your big reach up there, and you can see every once in a while it grabs or pulls something and quarter of the building falls. Yeah. I have to imagine that that's something that is going to happen, right? Like there's all that stuff calculated and what goes into that process. That's the fascinating part to me.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yeah. So
how do you know where everything's going to fall?
It's controlled by engineering, right? So it was a dangerous, building. It was compromised at itself. So we got our engineers involved. We just planned it out. Listen, this thing's going to go any time, but this is where we're going to start, and this is where we are going to control it, right? So what you're talking about, Mike, is when you're looking at that video, those actual attempts at bringing down that building was planned properly, right? So what you're doing is you got the post tension releasing itself as we're going, and then what happens is the weight takes over. So we actually use the post tension against itself, right? So the post tension's bringing the whole building into itself. There's all this tension, right? It's all coming into itself. So what we're doing is we're releasing the ends of it, and it's collapsing into the footprint of the building. So as you can see, the building started doing this, right? Started folding into itself. It's all engineered out, man. We were using the post tension against itself. Again, it's still gnarly. You got, there's people across the street, this and that. So it's stand back. This thing, this thing's about to go, but we knew it was going to go, And then we also do explosive demolitions through our implosion subcontractors that we use. We've done multiple implosions here in Las Vegas on the Strip, the Frontier Casino. We helped out at the Riviera. We also did the Desert Inn implosion, the Desert Inn parking garage. We've done the San Diego Hotel down in San Diego, multiple explosive work at the government sites, the Department of Energy. When it comes to demolition, there's not a structure we haven't taken down.
Josh, how niche is your line of work? Demolition itself isn't niche. Like every renovation or new ground up project needs a demo team. But how far have you niched? I always mess up that stupid word. How far have you niched? How far have you niched down? How competitive is your market in what you do?
That's a great question. So to me, I feel like there's a couple different levels to our competition, right? I was actually I talked to Mike about this and Brian on the first episode. The difficultness, there's not a lot of big guys that do what we do. We're actually, all of our competitors, I would say, let me just throw a number out there. And this is not accurate, but this is a ballpark, right? Let's just say there's, 8 to 10, maybe to 15 of us on the West Coast that do what we do at our level. If that, right? Back to what we discussed with Mike in the past is that then we have these mom and pop shops popping up out of nowhere, right? What I mean by mom and pop shops is these guys think they can do demo, and they're taking these, they'll end up taking jobs for extremely cheap because they don't know what they're doing. And we us and the bigger guys are fighting against that. And it's just like, look, and then all of a sudden they're out of business in a year or two, right? They can hang in there for about 2 years, and it's like, oh, we really don't know what we're doing, and they just took work away from the guys that do. You know what I mean? So there's hundreds of those guys. So you see what I'm saying? So to me, there's two different levels of it, right? There's hundreds of those mom and pop shop guys that do interior demo, residential, and there's some. I'm not ripping on everybody, but there's some guys that know what they're doing that want to stay small, and it's totally fine. You know, I respect those companies, but there's so many companies, as well as all the other construction industries, mom and pop shops everywhere that are really destroying the market and really hurting the people that provide for families on a big level. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Can you even sell against that, Josh? I think that goes, I mean, that's in every part of construction, in every silo of business, really, when you stop to think about it. Do you sell against that, or is it just you let those types of clients
shoot themselves in the foot? And
do you just let those clients, you can't sell against that, you can't position yourself against that, you just let those people, those businesses make those mistakes?
Yeah, it's an awesome question, and there's a thing I put in place to avoid it in the future. So yes, we've been selling it for years. You know, like, listen, you guys, be careful if you go with this company. I'd rather point you in the right direction to another competitor that knows what they're doing than you guys get hurt at the end of the day, right? And then we'll bring, they get multiple bids or whatever you guys want to make you feel comfortable to use the right company, because the client does get hurt at the end of the day. You know, I mean, these guys end up leaving it, and not everybody, but there's scenarios to where these contractors cannot finish their jobs and they leave them hanging. You know, that's where bonding comes in. Like we provide high risk bonding. You know, I mean, mom and pop shops, they don't have bonding to support. I mean, if there's something that happens to me, there's a bond in place. They can get another contractor to finish the job, right? A big way I avoided it this last year, some of the different things that have changed since the last time I spoke with Mike, was we decided to go union across the board. My uncle would be turning in his grave right now if he found out I went union across the board. But
I was just gonna. That's a really big decision. That's a really big pivot, right?
Yeah,
like
it was a huge decision.
Why, where, how?
Yeah. So to lead up to the story it was a big decision for us as a company. 30 years without, right? We've always been union in Las Vegas because I knew coming out here in 2004 that this is a union city, and I came in with the attitude to where, you know what, this is a union town. I respect it. I get it. I understand it. And I support it, and we're going to utilize the union to benefit both the company and the workers. The reason why we were non-union for so long is because our home base is in San Diego. San Diego was not strong union for many years. And all of a sudden I find myself in the last 3 years, I'm signing PLAs left and right, project labor agreements to do these school jobs. So I'm doing union work. I have to provide, they're getting their pensions. I mean, I'm doing union work under these project labor agreements. And I just decided, and I met with my management team for about a year over this before we pulled the trigger. I said, look, we're doing more and more PLAs, which is union anyway. And I feel, and I'm done dealing with the mom and pop shops. The mom and pop shops are non-union. They're non-prevailing wage, types of contracts. And I also started noticing that I'm missing out. ClaussConstruction was missing out on a lot of large projects in LA because we were non-union. The unions are just getting stronger, and it's just, we have to make a decision. What was best for our company, what was best for the families in our company. It hurt some people because they've been with me for so long. And the only way the union really benefits you is if you're in it for a long period of time so you can get your pensions at the end of the day, right? So it was a big decision for us. It was a huge decision for us. We thought it was the right decision. We still think it's the right decision. We have a great relationships with the union. It's just, there's pros and cons to it.
Where did you win and where did you lose in that?
I'm sorry?
Where did you win? Where did you win in going that route, and where have you lost?
I think we won a lot in it, a lot more pros than cons. The big con was,
Okay.
but the big con was, my heart went out to the guys that have been with me for so long that didn't want to go, right? Because listen, their paychecks get cut in half, right? Because all of it goes to the benefits and their the pensions that are really beneficial to them in the long run. They got, these guys. I'm talking about the guys that are ready to retire in 3 years from now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where
don't have time to build the pension and yeah.
Correct. So their paychecks are getting cut in half, and they were diligent enough to save for their own retirements through the prevailing wage that they were making, right? So that was the major con, and the other con was the private sector. We were doing non-prevailing wage work, which our guys didn't like anyways. But we're taking a big step back from that. But we also saw that market close on us too. We were doing a lot more prevailing wage work, a lot more PLA work. So it was like all of a sudden that percentage of that market was closing anyway. But that's the other minor con is that we can't bid these $18 an hour jobs anymore. That's for the mom and pop shops, right?
Yeah.
And the other pro is I'm getting away from them, And the major pro was, look, now we can bid on the stuff that we're really, really good at, and we're not going to miss out in LA, San Francisco, San Jose. It's going to open up a lot more doors for us, right? And I learned a lot here in Las Vegas, being union for over 16 years. So I learned how it worked. I learned how to establish a relationship with them. It's been working out pretty good for us.
What are some of the biggest benefits? Have you started to see a return on that decision yet? No, because it just happened about a month ago. It literally happened about a month ago.
Oh, geez, real new. Okay.
So it's really new.
Yeah.
It's really new. Got it.
How long did it take you to come to that decision? I mean, how long I've obviously been thinking about it for a while, but like from the point of, hey, we're actually going to, think about doing this. What was that decision-making process like?
It was 2 years in the making. It was about two full years of me bringing it up to the team and them looking at me like this. Like, what are you talking about? Your uncle would kill you, like this and that. But, and then they're like, wait, then it was interesting to see my management team come to me one-on-one, right? Like, hey, I've been thinking about what you brought up about the unions. It kind of makes sense for us, like off and on, and it's really important that my team has that understanding and has the backing, because without the team fully on board, it's just not going to work out, right? And the other thing we were going after is the labor shortage that's out there, right? We're thinking, hey, we signed up to the union, we're golden. Well, that's not the case. Not right now.
I was going to say, that's
that's not the case.
They give them to you, but they got to have them first, right? Yeah.
No, and they can't even provide. It's been extremely challenging. This last year has been extremely challenging, and it's all the aftermath of COVID. I truly believe. There's a lot of handout checks that have been going out. People have money. People don't want to work. People refinance their houses and did it at the right time before those interest rates skyrocketed, and they have a bunch of money they can spend, right? I mean, Las Vegas right now is breaking records, $1.4 billion on the Strip the last month. And I'm talking history records on spending money. Where are these people getting their money?
Like people spending money?
On casinos,
money being spent there.
It's all in the newspaper.
Have you tried to go to Vegas in the last probably 6 or 8 months? I mean, it's like some of the off-the-strip hotels are hundreds of dollars a night. I mean, it's wild how crazy Vegas has gotten. I don't know where they're getting their money.
Yeah. I do know, but it's all going to run out, right? It's all going to come to fruition. It's just going to stop, and people are going to want to go back to work.
I spent $250 a night at Ellis Island.
Right.
I mean, the place is a freaking dump. It was freaking wild. I mean, it was a motel behind the MGM, and I paid $250 a night because the MGM was $450.
Yeah. I kid you not. I kid you not. It was about a month ago. I wanted to take my wife out and just surprise her for a staycation for her. It was an anniversary. I think it was for that was 2 months. It was back in June, a few months ago. And we go to the comedy show, and then we're going to stay at the Wynn Hotel. $1,300 a night. This is where it was crazy, right? It's just $1,300 a night for a normal room. And it was,
that's why you go down to, with that, you could go down to Cabo San Lucas for a weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's been so many changes since COVID. Yeah.
So labor shortages, is that what you're saying is your biggest Achilles heel right now? So you're union, now you get invited to the party or to the parties, right?
Yeah.
Give us a sense of like your outfit. Like how many employees do you got? What are the typical size of demo jobs that you're taking? And what does the staff typically need to look like to support your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for us, all demolition contractors, we're a labor service, right? What does that mean? We provide all the labor. We're not building things. There's not a lot of material involved in what we do. We provide labor to knock stuff down and get the heck so they can build bigger and better, right? So we remove things off the property, right? So right now, we're right under 100 employees, but we can get up all the way up to 300 depending on our backlog, right? The Achilles heel thing, it's the labor shortage. I mean, even the unions are struggling trying to find talent. I mean, listen, here's the trends I've seen. I have 3 teenagers, so social media is everything. We're pretty up on it for the most part. I don't know much about TikTok and stuff like that, but to see what the crap, I mean, just straight up crap coming in. Yeah, there you go. You're a mom, you know what's up. So to see the crap that are teaching these kids about, I mean, this is what we're dealing with. There's a labor shortage as it is. TikTok, there's a trend going on about leaving your job and using the what you were taught, and then go market that to the next. Say, hey, there's a trend about leaving your current job, going to the next job, and getting $10,000 more a year, and then do that for 2 years, and then do it again, right? You just keep jumping, right? And this is what these kids are being taught instead of having this like grinded out mentality. And have pride in what you're doing to help build a company. It's taking advantage of that paycheck in the moment.
Josh, coming from your background of a very strong work ethic, where you saw your father and your uncle duke it out and just build on that work ethic, like the ClaussConstruction was built on the sweat and on the backs of your family. Big time, yes. What do you got to do to build the bridge where you are connecting with the next generation of kids who are being exposed to this kind of mentalities? What is that? How is that? Look, at some point we have to surrender and like, this is our workforce. How do you build that up?
So that is the most challenging thing for any CEO right now. I'm telling you, it is so hard.
She was hoping you had the answer because she needs it as well.
Yeah, so. I need the answer.
Well, you know what? I think what will help with that, I've learned a lot in the last 5 years as I took over the business, that a CEO should never be, I shouldn't say should never because I'm still working in it. A CEO, to successfully grow a business, you need to work on the business and not work in the business, if that makes sense. So what I did is I'm trying to answer your question by doing that, right? I'm trying to work more on the people that come here and try to build them up and try to encourage them to where there's a lot of satisfaction. It's not all about money, the money will come.
Yes.
That's the thing. I didn't know. I'd never had 100% assurance that I was taking this company over. All I knew, and all I was kind of taught just by watching, was you give it your all. You give it your all, and then it just works out, And you have to have pride in what you're doing and what you're building. And if it's all about the money, you're always going to be that person. You're always going to be that person where you're never going to be satisfied in the position that you're going to be in. But if you're focused on the pride of what you bring to the table and what you can build, the CEOs are going to see what you're doing. Me going to my uncle and say, hey, let me go open an office. Give me 1 year. What does he have to lose? I'm going to go back in the same position if I don't, right? I'm waiting for people to say, where's that next person? Where's that next girl? Where's that next guy? that comes to me and says, hey,
Yeah.
I want to start an office in Orange County. Hey, I want to start an office in Frisco or in another state. You can actually, it was interesting. I was meeting with my senior vice president, Bill, and he's been here since him and I have grown up together doing this. And he's just that guy. We're like the last people, it seems like that have that full understanding of what happens when you grow a company. But he nailed it. We were doing a job interview for an estimator. He goes, Josh is, this company's so cool because we're growing as a company. We're becoming a large business. We're heading towards that direction, and it's cool because he allows you to have your own business within the business. Well, what does that mean? That means there's opportunity. The sky's the limit here. There's no limit. Like if you want to go run your own office, prove to him that you can, and he'll give you the opportunity. And it's just one of those things because he did that, right? He really oversees all of our government sector stuff, and he's just killing it. And if the money's coming in, you're going to be rewarded. You know what I mean? It's the mentality. It all depends on the individual as well. If you want to be a guy that just wants to, put numbers together on a computer and that's what you want to do, by all means, it's all good. Happiness is not always in the money. It's not always there. But I truly believe that this next generation, there's this trend of what can you do? What can you do for me before what the company can do for the person? I had a kid come in, I kid you not, and ask me, what can the company do for me? That was his first question. He wouldn't even let me ask him a question in this first interview. How much are you going to pay me? What can you do for me? And I said, what you can do for me is get out of my seat and get out of my office. Then and he did. But I kind of felt bad, and I wanted to teach him. I met him out in the parking lot, put my arm around the kid, and I kind of loved on him a little bit and kind of shared him how the real world works. You know what I mean? You don't
how the real world works. I think that's a really good underscore.
Yeah, right. And I was trying to explain to him what I said to you guys just now. Is like the money will come. The money. Don't even worry about the money. If you're busting your butt and you're bringing in numbers and there's no CEO that's ever going to want to get rid of you. So you're just going to get promoted. You know what I mean? Especially now, there's the talent.
Make yourself,
lacking. Great
value. Yeah.
Bring value.
Yep. Well, so aside from like some of the culture stuff and kind of making that pathway visible for everybody and kind of giving them that option and letting them know like, hey, this is how I run my business and this is, the opportunities there if you want to take it and all that. Are there other things that you have done deliberately to, either retain or attract talent outside of the money, right? Because it's like you said, you can't just keep paying people more and more. And that pathway's there, right? So that I think that's obviously for a lot of people, what they want, right? Nobody wants to go to a job where, they can't see a pathway in front of them. But aside from that, are there things that you guys have deliberately done to kind of attract and retain talent?
Yeah. So what I've done personally, I needed a major culture change in my company. That's one thing I noticed that I needed to work on as an owner. And that lies on every owner, right? It's our responsibility to provide a working environment that everybody wants to come and work to, right? So what I ended up doing, Mike, I ended up humbling myself and just say, look, you know what? I need to get a CFO in here, another third-party consultant and help me, right? I need help to make this environment right, to get the right talent, to get a better network going. Because I'm knee deep in the business, right? I still enjoy doing the sales, making sure my clients are happy. That's what CEOs should be doing instead of like working on HR stuff, right? And that's what I found myself doing is I'm buried in
or filling out spreadsheets,
and I'm just dealing with all the HR nonsense, right? And so I hired a CFO, and she has been absolutely, I'm talking phenomenal. We have a long ways to go. And she's just been great. The environment, I'm so stoked to come into San Diego's office and people are smiling. It's instead of there's a line outside of Josh Claus's door in San Diego about complaints. They just want to say hi and like, hey, the environment's different, right? So to answer your question, Mike,
Josh, how long did it take for you to? How long did it take for you then to make that decision on taking on that overhead? That's a big check that you have to sign every 2 weeks, and that's a really big commitment in terms of making sure that there's enough work. How long did it take for you to actually pull the trigger on that? What was that like for you?
5 years. It took me about 5 years.
Jeez.
Even though I knew I needed it 5 years prior to that, right? But it took me 5 years to pull the trigger and gamble with that, right?
What would you say to the person the CEO who is running a business and who's in the same position 5 years ago? Like, what were your reservations and what would you tell yourself to help you get to where you are quicker?
Don't wait. By all means, it sounds easy. It really sounds easy. Don't wait. It depends on what you're bringing. Can you afford it, right? I couldn't afford it, and I still pulled the trigger. You make sacrifices on, cutting your own salary back, or finding ways to be more productive on the sites to make a little bit more money. It's just you do what you have to do, and then really, what was encouraging is when I presented to my management team, the excitement they had, and the response that I see that them having is the award itself. The money, I'm not a big fan of money, to be honest with you. It ruins everybody. Everybody thinks CEOs are making millions and millions of dollars.
Well, it's how you use the money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how you use the money. It's not the money itself that makes, in my opinion, it's not the money itself that makes me happy. It's how I use it, and it's how I give that really is the fruit of that. But I think you said something that's really interesting, Josh. You said, even when I hired this person, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it 5 years ago, and I didn't think that I could afford it now, but you go out and find it, right? Like it's almost like when you're getting ready to, I'm not ready to be a mom. Well, at no point did I ever feel ready to be a mom until I became a mom.
Right.
Right. Like it just.
Yep. Well, we had a guy on a few weeks ago, Jose, and he said that same kind of thing, right? He was in a position where he couldn't really afford to bring somebody on, but he knew that he needed to, and it ended up resulting in sales. And sales is the easy way to see that you're getting that return on that investment, right? And you're seeing that investment in that person and sales come back. But in this case, this person wasn't necessarily bringing in sales. But I think if you frame it in a way that this person created a culture change and was able to, kind of shift how we operate our business and how our people feel about our business, then maybe you were able to save some money in turnover and training somebody and bringing somebody else on, and efficiency somewhere. Like, you don't necessarily see that dollar for dollar exchange, but I have to imagine that there was value, created by bringing that person on at some point that kind of, quote unquote, paid for herself, right? I mean,
there has to be a return
value
on that. There's definitely a return. And Josh, you're talking about it. Maybe it's not a return in tangible, like, dollar for dollar, like you're saying, Mike, but you said you walk into the office and people are happy. Right. You don't have a line standing outside of your office of people.
And that for sure is, you're for sure retaining somebody there. There's some level of retention and avoiding the cost of training and hiring and all that crap.
That's exactly right. It's intangible. Yeah. You know that it's, right now she's been on board for close to a year, not quite yet. And just the change in itself, the environment in itself has been worth every penny. So again, the money, like it's always 30 years in this business, right? Michael started 30 years ago, and we're here today. We're still rocking and rolling. We've been through two major recessions, and the money will always come. Whether it's just our paychecks, and sometimes you just have those years where everyone's paycheck was put on the table, and that's all we made this year. you know,
Yeah.
and thank God, right? God's good, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and that's okay, you know. So again, what's most important to me is that my team wants to come to work and is motivated to do work. And when you have motivation, the numbers will come. So, you
The
know, do
numbers
I
will
see
come.
them? Do I see them now? Not quite yet, but they're coming. I can, you know, I have no doubt in my mind because of the new environment, right? And you know, it's
Yeah.
with the new network of hiring new talent, it's just going to come.
So, Josh, one of the things that you highlighted that were different from the first time you were a guest on the podcast to now is that you've unionized. You've also suggested that there's some things that you're putting in place or that you're thinking about and you're putting your energy towards that, you know, insulate you from the coming recession. What are some of those things that you've been thinking about?
Yeah. So what got us through the last two recessions is our diversity in the industry. So there's a lot of demolition contractors out there that they're either doing the private sector or just the government sector or whatever. We really focus on both. What we found in the past recessions is that the government sector, you know, what the government does to save face in a broken economy is what do? They start putting money towards a stimulus program, right? So they're going to take care of their own people first, right? Which is the government, the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, the military, the Army, Marines, so on and so forth, right? So what my uncle did really well, in which we take a lot of pride in, and I'm proud of him for doing it, is the government sector is very, very difficult to get involved with. You have to have a decent resume to start, you know, to be qualified to even bid on these types of projects. And so that's why a lot of competitors kind of steer away from it because it's not easy at all. The submittal process to these jobs are insane. You're dealing with radioactive materials, stuff like that. The training involved and the money it takes to get your guys trained it's pretty expensive. But we've been in the industry for so long. We're established and we have a really good run, and we're continuing that run through the industry. That is the diversity is what's gotten us through the last, you know, couple of recessions, and we're going to lean on that to continue in this next one coming up.
That's cool. Tell me then what your fork is. So if you have a diversified clientele, the government being one, is it the private sector being two, and then like the home smaller
public
demolition?
You got the public sector, which is the cities, the counties, and stuff like that as well. Which that's government too, right? That stuff will get fed a little bit of stimulus package, you know. The infrastructure bill that's coming out, that's more towards bridges and, you know, the roadways and stuff like that we don't really, you know, that's building, more or less building. But you can already see what they're doing, right? That's just the beginning of it. Last thing we need is more debt, national debt. But for some odd reason, our politicians keep printing money left and right like we don't ever need to pay it back, right? I don't understand that.
No, we're going to pay for it.
There's only one thing good with that, and there's nothing good with that. So, anyway, so it's those three pillars. It's the public sector, the private sector, and also the government.
Yeah, I think as a small business owner, anyone who is listening to this, who is a small business owner, we need to be thinking about how we are going to protect our work for the people that work for us, right? And if we're only in one lane right now, or I would say even 12 months ago, is the time to really start thinking about what other parts of my industry can I serve? Is it a maintenance program? You know, is it a different? If I just do kitchens, do I go into bathrooms now? If I just do bathrooms, do I go in, like whatever that is? We need to be diversified because all markets are already being impacted. Right. Interest rates going up. I'm coming from a residential construction point of view. The interest rate continuing to go up is absolutely impacting our industry today.
Absolutely.
It's hitting us today because now homeowners can't use the home as an ATM, take out $150K to renovate their kitchen.
Right.
Why would they do that if they're at a lower interest rate now? It's taking more and more people out of the market. So thinking about the business in that way and how am I diversifying and what other playgrounds do I need to play in so that my people stayed employed.
Correct.
And we stay working throughout this recession is really important. So I applaud you in that, Josh.
Thank you.
Anything big and cool coming up out there in Vegas? I mean, we all love seeing those big hotels coming down. Is there anything on the horizon?
Yeah, cool for us. I don't know about visually. There's a lot. So if you guys remember, if you're familiar with Vegas, Las Vegas Boulevard and Harmon, where that meets, we're actually demoing probably a whole block on the Strip right now. They're making way for Tita is actually building a hotel casino on the corner of Harmon and Las Vegas Boulevard, which is our client right now. We're demoing the old Travel Lodge there. There's old restaurant that used to be the old Harley Davidson Cafe. There's a big parking garage over there. So there's a lot going on the Strip.
Yeah.
It really reminds me a lot of 2007, where we were just land. We did the Frontier Hotel. We did the Planet Hollywood where it used to be Aladdin, and we demoed the whole front end of the Planet Hollywood, the whole Aladdin theme. And then all of a sudden the recession, boom, 2008, 2009, right? So there's quite a bit of work going on now.
Yep.
Other than that, Vegas is doing a lot of facelifting, a lot of remodeling in the hotels.
Right.
Not necessarily big structural demo, you know what I mean? So anything exciting now?
Where's most of your where's the most of your business at, Josh? Is it in California? Is it in Nevada? Where's the majority of your clientele?
It's mostly California. Yeah. Because California is so much larger, right? I mean, we're up in the Bay Area we're at Lawrence Livermore Lab, kind of near San Jose. We're in LA quite a bit, in San Diego quite a bit. And then Vegas is an interesting market. Yeah, Vegas is a real market. You can go a year without a job here, and then also you could go literally a year without a job here, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's 8 jobs out of nowhere. It's a very, very, very unique city, and it's very hard to get in. I worked my butt off to get my foot in the door here because it's very, very tight niched industry here. Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
All the 2 or 3 demo guys that are out here. Good luck trying to start out here. It's just not going to happen. The client. There's too much.
that mob mentality, right?
I was going to say.
I feel like it always exists out there, whether it's actually the mob or not. That mentality of like tightness and close knit and kind of that locals only kind of thing is.
Well, it's just the comfort of knowing the job's going to get done right. There can't be much. There's no room for error out here, right? There's no room. They have.
Well, in a city that's so many eyes, so many visitors. You can't screw up. Yeah.
You got to have a reputation that surpasses the others. So there's about 2.
Yep.
There's about 3 of us that I would say to a client, those guys are legit. Feel comfortable, right? Other than that, it's such a tight niche out here, and plus it's also unique. You're next door to billion-dollar properties that you can't damage when you're taking down the next building right next door, right? And so it's not just the mob mentality. I wouldn't say that, but it's the comfort of knowing that this contractor is going to get it done right, and that the neighbor knows who we are as well because we've probably worked on their property too, and say, oh, it's ClaussConstruction.
Yes.
Okay, it's okay. Go ahead and do what you need to do. They're legit, because we take pride in protecting their properties as well, because they're our client as well. We don't want to piss them off, right?
Right.
So it's just a very, very.
It sounds like you need to have a reputation that precedes you in the market that you're talking 100%. About. A reputation has to precede you. The reputation has to enter the door months before you actually do. That's in order correct. To get the job.
On that a little bit, talk. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, talk about your social media a little bit. Right? Like you guys do it so well, and your videos are so awesome. But like, it's almost, if you think about it, a lot of people think like social media, like I should be getting phone calls, and that's the way I think a lot of contractors think about it. But to Marisela's point, like that's your call, that's your business card, right? Like that's your resume. Like look what we can do, have done, will do, how clean we do it, all those different types of things. But you guys are doing it well, and the videos are awesome, and you guys are out there for sure.
How much are you spending in marketing? Do you put a big emphasis on your marketing? Are you doing a lot of that? Are you trying to expand into new markets?
No. No, we're not. So I do all the social media. That's me. I take.
Awesome.
First of all, I want to make sure my eyes are on what's being posted before it gets posted. I want to make sure it looks right. I'm just very anal in the market. I really enjoy the marketing part, but we don't spend a lot of money. To go back to what Mike's saying, it's our stamp, right? It's not necessarily that we're getting a phone call. Our phones are blowing up because I posted a video, right? It's just, look, I've always been taught actions speak louder than words. So those videos are our action, right? It's like, oh yeah, Claus did it again. Look at them. It's just they're doing a great job out there. It's just a reminder, is all that is, of who we are.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to point to, right? I mean, I got a YouTube channel, I got LinkedIn that I know Mike sees, I got Instagram and all that. It's just like, here, enough of me talking. This is what we're all about. Take a look.
Love that. Love that mentality. Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
So as we get close to, did you have something else, Marisela, or did you want to get into your?
No, I think we get into a rapid fire here.
Yeah. So part of me bringing Marisela on is she's got her own little segment here that she brought on called our rapid fire. She's got 4 questions that she asks everybody, but I'll let her.
Yeah. So, part of my interest in joining Mike on this podcast is that I really wanted to be a part of something that was a resource to other people in our industry. I loved the platform that Mike already created in the podcast that gives a voice and a face to who we are. You know what I mean? We're real people and we're doing really good things. Not all of us are bad, and actually very few of us are bad. But I always appreciate
the bad ones just make a lot of noise.
They create
a lot of noise.
They do. They do. I always appreciate listening to podcasts that give me something to think about or a new tool that I didn't even know existed. And so I asked the same guest that joined us on the podcast the same 4 questions, just so that if anything, it's a freaking resource to me, because asking these same 4 questions to every guest that we've had, I walk away being like, oh, shit, I'm going to try that. Oh, I'm going to go read that book every time. So I'll ask you the same 4 questions that I'm asking every guest that joins us. And this has just everything to do with you, Josh. The first question: what is one resource that your business cannot do without? What is one resource that your business cannot do without? And it can't be a person, because we all can't do our business without people. And it can't be Google, because we all can't do anything without Google these days. But is there something that your business is using that is like, this is money, this helps us, this makes us better?
Oh, I would say the people. I mean, there's no doubt about the talent that we have. I take pride in our team. I would say we have probably some of the best in the industry. I can't do without them. I mean,
how did you find those people then? Give us a resource. Like, is it, I do the best in recruiting my talented people from LinkedIn or from Indeed. Is there something that you're using to acquire and retain your talent?
It's the old school guys. It's the old school guys that have been here for so long. That's the ones I'm talking about, right? They have the same mentality. They get it. And they see the results of it, right? The resource, I mean, I found a couple guys from Indeed. LinkedIn's another one. I found my CFO through a connection from another CEO of a friend of mine. And then she brought in a ton of networks. So she's kind of handling all that, right? So she has her resources. But the guys the people I'm talking about, guys and girls, it's the ones that have been here from, I don't want to say day one, but we're talking 15 plus years, that have the same mentality that we spoke about in the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Second question, what's the best advice someone has given you? What's the best advice someone has given you that you still think about, you still draw from, you still lean
Not to
into?
micromanage your team. I think that's been
Not
a
to
huge,
micromanage your team.
yeah, I think that's been a huge thing with me. Um, I'm really close friends to the owner, the CEO of freeconferencecall.com. He's an extremely successful guy.
Mm.
He's an amazing guy, brilliant guy. How he started all that. Anyways, he's not a big micromanager himself. You have to be. This is my opinion, and it showed to be to be somewhat right. You have to be confident in the talent that you're hiring, right? I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
traveling back and forth. I'm not. I'm hardly in the office. So I have to trust the talent that's on the payroll, right? And what does that mean? If I have to micromanage everybody, then what am I paying them for, right? There's actually a
Yes.
lot. There's actually a lot of lenience in my company. I'm big on family. I have a son that plays baseball that travels the nation. I know what it takes. I know what it takes to do that on the weekend. I'm exhausted as it is after the week's done running a business, but I'm a big supporter of family and sports. Make sure you're at your kid's game. If you have
Yes.
to take off an hour early from the job, from the day in the middle of the week, you have my full support because you want to know. I know you're going to jump on your computer and hop on the server when you get home at night. Those are the
Yeah.
people that I want working for me, and those are the people that I have working for me, and I don't need to worry about
So,
them.
so
Yeah,
Josh, that's incredible culture that you're creating by the simple advice of not micromanaging and
right.
how so many other things spur off of that. What is the bigger job, running your business or traveling your kid around to all the different games? Because both Mike and myself have kids that are in sports. What makes you the most tired?
Oh, both. I got to be honest with you. I mean, running a company and the risk that we're in our industry, it takes a lot out of you. Um, but
Yeah.
there was times. I think Mike follows my kid around. But anyway, there was times to where he made this national team and 11, 12 years old, 2 years straight. Every other weekend, I would come home from San Diego, grab my kid, jump on a plane to San Antonio, Texas, or Dallas or Houston every other weekend. And thank God
Nice.
for
Wow.
business points, right, for travel. Because I mean, you know how expensive all that
Yeah.
gets, but that's what I use all my points for. But
Yeah.
and then I come home on Sunday and get back on the plane Monday and do the job. So it's a lot of work. Both being a
That's
dad,
commitment.
you guys know,
It's
being
commitment.
parents, it can take just as much as a toll on you as, especially when you have three teenagers in the house right now, and as
Yeah.
well as the job brings to the table. So it could be taxing.
Yeah, I know that
That's a
life for
lot of
sure.
baseball. Yep.
It's a lot of a bat on a ball around over
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Third question: is there a book or podcast that you love that you'd recommend? A book or a podcast?
Oh, the podcast. So you want to be a contractor? That's my favorite. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, good, nice, well
So
done.
here's here's the great part about that answer. I was waiting for somebody, right? We're probably 15 episodes in now with Marisela doing this, and nobody
Yeah,
said that. So I love you for that, Josh. I love you
I
for
got you
that.
back, Mike. Don't
But
you
you don't
worry
have
about
to
it.
kiss my ass. So if there's something else that you actually listen to that you enjoy or read,
Yeah.
you're
please
welcome to
share.
mention those as well.
No, I'm not a big reader. I'm reading contracts and emails all day long. All I want to do is go home and
Word.
put a tri-tip on a barbecue and just sit and veg. So, yeah, I would say your
Yes,
guys'
sir.
podcast is
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
I've been really enjoying it.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. You get extra points over here too.
Right? Yeah.
Final question. Okay, so you're CEO, you have 100 employees, you're traveling around with your kid, playing baseball, watching him, doing all of that. But is there something that you do for yourself? Is there one habit that you have for yourself that fills you up so that you could fill others, so that you could pour into others?
Um, just pouring into others. I really enjoy that. I love seeing people succeed. It doesn't have to be Josh Claus succeeding. Um, I truly, truly enjoy
Mm,
being a dad and being a husband.
mm,
It just, what's going on out there in the world actually breaks my heart. I think it's sad. I think it's, you know, trying to be that example, right, for my own kids on what it means to be a hard worker, to be dedicated to marriage, to be dedicated as a parent. It means everything to me. So that's my hobby. I don't other than working and taking my kids to baseball and supporting them in college, and my daughter plays volleyball. I mean, it's full time.
I was gonna say, if I've known Josh now for a couple of years. We chat pretty often and been to lunch together, and follow each other on social media and stuff. And if you follow this guy, like there's more kids, family, sports, and all that kind of stuff that he's involved in than anything else. I mean, that the guy is he practices what he preaches when he's talking about his employees wanting to be family first and all that stuff, because he's right there too. And I knew that was going to be his answer as far as kind of what his motivation there is the kids. I mean, he's like he said, his kids are grown, right? I mean, like college, high school, or not college yet, but high school and older. But he's there at all of them. He's always there. So
thanks, Mike.
That's special. That's unique. That's unfortunately unique, and we need more of that.
Right.
So
right.
Kudos.
Right on. Yeah, my oldest is going to GCU, so he's in college. He's a freshman over there.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
He's enjoying it. He likes his freedom. He's doing good. Very proud of him.
Very cool, man. Well, this has been awesome. We appreciate it. I love that the conversation, and I knew it would be, right, having Marisela here. It was so much different conversation that we had the first time around, and it was fun for sure. And always love catching up with you, dude. Awesome. But before we go,
Thank you.
Give everybody a shout out. How do they find you? How do they see your stuff? How do they get a hold of you if they got any questions?
On the website, ClaussConstruction.com, very easy to get a hold of us. Just there's a info@ClaussConstruction.com email. Anything anybody needs, we're very reachable on all of our social media outlets. Claus Construction on Instagram, LinkedIn, and we're out there ready to serve. Let's go.
Yeah, check out the YouTube too if you want to see some cool demo stuff. It's
stuff coming down.
The nighttime stuff is fun too. Those are good ones for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Josh, it was great meeting you.
Pleasure.
Force be with you. We will see you on the other side when you're the third time.
Right on.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.
All right, thanks again, guys.
Yep, see ya.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you had a good time, be sure to hit that subscribe button to get all the latest episodes. And if you had a really good time, leave a review to let us know what you thought. Until then, go gather some crazy stories on your job sites, and we'll see you next time on So, You Want to Be a Contractor.